The city demands explanations like it demands air. Why did you leave? Why did you stay? Why that tone? Why that choice? Every corner holds an invisible courtroom, and you've been standing in the dock for so long you forgot you could walk away. But today, something shifts. The rope around your chest loosens. The words you rehearsed for ghosts dissolve. You stop, you breathe, and in that silence, you discover a door you never knew existed. Freedom tastes like this, the courage to be misunderstood. This is not about rudeness, not about walls, not about pride that burns bridges. This is about the quiet sovereignty of a soul that no longer needs permission to exist. Today, you'll hear why the Buddha taught that most suffering is born not from the world's judgment, but from your reaction to it. You'll discover how the need to explain is often the chain you forge yourself, and you'll learn 5 keys that unlock a life where clarity replaces performance, where presence replaces defense, where peace replaces the exhausting theater of justification. Here's what happens now. Someone misreads your silence. You feel the familiar alarm. The old reflex rises. Explain, clarify, correct. But this time, you pause. 3 breaths. The impulse passes like a cloud. You realize the person arguing with you is arguing with their own story, not with you. You realize you don't need to win. You realize you can let them be wrong about you and still sleep well. That realization is the beginning of freedom. The common enemy wears 1,000 faces but speaks one language, the tyranny of other people's comfort. It says you must narrate yourself constantly, justify your choices, translate your soul into language small enough for strangers to swallow. It says your worth depends on being understood by everyone, approved by the majority, legible to the crowd. Buddhist wisdom answers with a different equation. You are not obligated to make yourself comfortable for minds that haven't done the work to understand you. There's an ancient teaching. A monk is accused falsely of fathering a child. The village erupts. They demand an explanation. He says only 2 words. Is that so? He raises the child for years without defending himself. Later, the truth surfaces. The real father appears. The villagers return, ashamed, apologizing, taking the child back. The monk says again, is that so? No bitterness, no performance of righteousness, just a heart that refused to be ruled by the weather of opinions. That story is not about passivity, it's about power. The power to remain whole when the world demands you shatter into explanations. First key, recognize the trap. The need to explain yourself is rarely about truth. It's about fear. Fear of being misunderstood, yes, but deeper. Fear of being rejected, abandoned, unseen. The mind says if they don't understand me, I will be alone. If I don't explain, I will disappear. That fear is ancient. It comes from the part of you that once depended on the tribe for survival. But you are no longer that child. The threat is no longer real. And the freedom begins when you see the trap for what it is. A phantom alarm, a bell ringing in an empty house. Notice when the impulse arises. Someone criticizes your decision. Your chest tightens. Words flood your mouth, a defense already forming. Stop there. That pause is sacred. Ask yourself, am I explaining to clarify or to control? Am I speaking to serve truth or to manage their perception? If it's the latter, you're trying to fix something that isn't your job to fix. Their opinion of you is their interior weather. You are not the sun responsible for their sky. Second key, understand the cost. Every explanation you don't owe drains you. It costs time, yes, but more than that, it costs presence. It costs the energy you need for your real work, your real loves, your real life. The city is full of people living in a constant state of performance, narrating themselves to invisible audiences, auditioning for approval that never quite arrives. They are exhausted, not from living, but from explaining that they are allowed to live. Buddhist teaching speaks of right speech. But right speech includes right silence. Silence is not avoidance, it's choice. It's the refusal to waste your voice on ears that aren't ready to hear. There's a difference between someone genuinely asking and someone demanding you perform. The genuine question comes with openness, curiosity, respect. The demand comes with judgment already formed, with a script you're supposed to follow. You can feel the difference in your body. One feels like an invitation, the other feels like an interrogation. Practice this. Before you speak, check your motivation. Are you speaking because it serves clarity, relationship, truth? Or are you speaking because you're afraid of what they'll think if you don't? If it's fear, pause. Breathe. Let the fear pass through like wind through an open window. You don't have to obey every emotional impulse. You are not your fear's servant. You can let it visit and still choose silence. Third key, reclaim your story. Your life is not a courtroom and you are not on trial. You don't owe the world a closing argument. The obsession with being understood by everyone is a trap disguised as virtue. It whispers, if you were clear enough, good enough, articulate enough, everyone would see your truth. But that's a lie. Clarity doesn't guarantee understanding. Some people are determined to misunderstand you because it serves their narrative. Some people need you to be small so they can feel large. Some people will reject your truth because it threatens their comfort. Let them. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone has earned the right to know your reasons. Your story is sacred. It's not currency to be spent on strangers who won't value it. Buddhism teaches discernment. The wise person doesn't cast pearls before those who will trample them. Your explanations, your vulnerabilities, your truths, these are pearls. Offer them carefully. Offer them to those who have shown they can hold them with respect. There's a practice in Zen. When someone asks a question that isn't really a question, the master sometimes responds with silence or a gesture, a raised hand, a slight bow, no words. The silence isn't rude. It's a refusal to play a game that has no winner. It's a way of saying, your question assumes something I don't accept. I won't build on that foundation. In the city, this looks like a co-worker asks why you turned down a promotion. You smile gently. I have my reasons. And you move on. No elaborate justification. No defending your priorities against their confusion. Just a boundary, clear and kind. Fourth key, trust your inner compass. Freedom from explaining yourself requires that you know yourself. If you're constantly justifying your choices to others, it's often because you haven't fully justified them to yourself. Uncertainty makes you vulnerable to other people's certainty. Doubt makes you crave external validation. But when you know your why, when you've sat with your choices, examined them honestly, aligned them with your values, you become unshakable, not arrogant, unshakable. This is inner work. Buddhist wisdom calls it right understanding. It means you've done the questioning yourself. You've asked, is this choice skillful? Does it lead to less suffering or more? Am I acting from fear or from clarity? Am I honoring my truth or betraying it? When you've asked those questions and arrived at an answer, other people's confusion doesn't destabilize you. You can meet their doubt with calm because your inner ground is solid. Practice self-inquiry. Each week, review your choices, not with judgment, but with honesty. Did I say yes when I meant no? Did I explain myself because I was unsure or because I was pressured? Where did I betray my truth for? Someone else's comfort? Where did I stand firm? This isn't about perfection. it's about pattern recognition. Over time, you'll notice where you leak power, where you give away your peace for approval. And once you see it, you can change it. Fifth key: cultivate compassionate detachment. This is the heart of the practice. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It means you care about people without being ruled by their perceptions. You love without needing them to validate your existence. You engage without needing them to agree. Compassion means you understand that their misunderstanding of you is often about their pain, their history, their limits, and you let them have that without making it your emergency. Imagine this. Someone criticizes your life choices harshly. Old pattern: defend, explain, convince. New pattern: pause, feel the sting, recognize it's not personal, even though it feels personal. Respond if appropriate with brevity, or don't respond at all. Later, privately, you might feel sadness. That's okay. You're human. But you don't let their words dictate your worth. You don't perform for their understanding. You hold your center. There's a teaching about the second arrow. The first arrow is the event, the criticism, the misunderstanding. That hurts. You can't always avoid it. But the second arrow is your reaction, the story you tell yourself, the hours spent rehearsing defenses, the corrosion of resentment. That arrow, you shoot yourself. Freedom is learning to drop the bow. Let the first arrow hurt if it must, but refuse to multiply the pain. The city will test this daily. A friend misinterprets your tone in a text. Your family questions your career change. A stranger judges your appearance, your pace, your choices. Each moment is an invitation. Will you explain yourself into exhaustion, or will you trust that you are allowed to exist as you are? The ones who truly see you won't need elaborate explanations. The ones who don't see you won't be convinced by explanations. So why waste the words? Here's a practice for high-pressure moments. When someone demands an explanation and you feel the old panic rising, do this. Ground your feet, feel the floor, take 3 breaths, lengthen your exhales, soften your jaw, and say internally, I am here. I am whole. I don't need to perform. Then, if you choose to speak, speak from that groundedness, not from fear. Your words will be different, fewer, clearer. And often, you'll realize you don't need to speak at all. A gentle smile, a kind no, a boundary without apology. There's also the art of the redirect. Someone preys where they shouldn't. Instead of explaining, you ask a question. Why do you ask? Often, that's enough. It puts the spotlight back where it belongs. It reveals whether their curiosity is genuine or invasive. Genuine curiosity respects boundaries. Invasiveness doesn't. You learn quickly who deserves your openness and who doesn't. And then there's humor. When the demand for explanation becomes absurd, sometimes the best response is lightness. Not mockery, but a gentle refusal to take the interrogation seriously. It's a mystery even to me, you might say with a smile. That disarms. It also refuses the premise that you owe a dissertation on your existence. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering comes from clinging to things, yes, but also clinging to being understood, being right, being seen a certain way. When you release that clinging, a vast space opens. You realize you can be misunderstood and still be at peace. You can be criticized and still know your worth. You can be invisible to some and still be fully alive. That realization is not resignation, it's liberation. Imagine your life as a garden. Some people will walk through and see weeds where you see wildflowers. Some will criticize your layout, your choices, your vision. You could spend all your time explaining why each plant is there, defending your design, convincing them it's beautiful. Or you could tend your garden with love, knowing that those who are meant to see its beauty will see it without persuasion. The rest will pass through, and that's okay. This doesn't mean you become a fortress. Vulnerability is still sacred. Intimacy still requires opening. But there's a difference between intimacy and performance. Intimacy is chosen, mutual, safe. Performance is compulsive, one-sided, exhausting. With the right people in the right contexts, you can explain everything. You can unravel your thoughts, share your doubts, reveal your process. That's connection. But with everyone else, with the crowd, with the critics who haven't earned access, you can simply be. No explanation required. The freedom you feel when you stop explaining yourself is not the freedom of isolation. It's the freedom of integrity. You become integrated. Your inner and outer worlds align. You stop fragmenting yourself into versions designed for different audiences. You stop code-switching your soul. You become one person, clear and whole, whether anyone is watching or not. That integrity is magnetic. People feel it. The right people are drawn to it. The wrong people are confused by it. And that's useful information. There's a moment that will come. Someone important to you, someone whose opinion you've always valued, will misunderstand you deeply. And you'll feel the old wound open, the old need to explain, to fix, to convince. But this time, you'll breathe, you'll feel the hurt, you'll acknowledge it, and then you'll choose, I love this person, but I will not betray myself for their understanding. I will offer clarity once, kindly, and if they cannot receive it, I will grieve that gap and still protect my peace. That moment is your graduation. The practice never ends. The city will keep demanding. Voices will keep questioning. Judgments will keep arriving. But you'll have learned the secret. You are not responsible for managing other people's perceptions of you. You are responsible for living with integrity, speaking with honesty, acting with compassion. Beyond that, their opinions are their work, not yours. One final image. A river doesn't explain itself to the stones. It flows. The stones may resist, may gudge, may wish the river were different. The river feels them, moves around them or over them, and continues. It remains itself. That is not arrogance. It is nature. You too are a river. You are allowed to flow without stopping at every stone to justify your current. So here is the invitation. For 1 week, practice this. When the urge to explain yourself arises, pause, count to 10, ask, is this explanation necessary, kind, and true? If yes, offer it simply. If no, let it go. Notice what happens in your body when you choose silence instead of defense. Notice the space that opens. Notice the energy you reclaim. That energy is your life force. Use it for what matters. Your growth, your love, your work, your joy. The freedom you feel when you stop explaining yourself is the freedom to finally live. To walk through the city without carrying an invisible jury. To make choices without drafting speeches. To be wrong sometimes without collapsing, to be right without needing applause, to simply exist, awake and whole, in a world that will never fully understand you. And that is not tragedy. That is the human condition. We are all mysteries to each other, and that's beautiful. Share this teaching with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to continue walking this path together. And when you close this now, remember, you are allowed to be misunderstood. You are allowed to be free. The city will keep talking. Let it. You have better things to do. You have a life to live, fully, quietly, unapologetically. And that life begins the moment you stop explaining it and start living it.